the band, you have never been there, maybe as a musician, but
Nope.
but the band was really recognized.
Really? In Cuba?
Yes,
I had no idea.
I know.
Nice. Okay.
Do you think that it was because you are white people?
In America, definitely. We never played a gig in America ever. I remember we got a fax from a record company. Someone from our label in Sweden was in the States shopping for a record deal, and they played them some of our songs. Nigger was one of them. And we got a fax back that said, white guys who try to tell black people how to live their lives ought to have their balls cut off.
My name is Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal, and today we are talking to Zak Tell from Clawfinger, who is going to release or released the new album called Before We All Die. My first question usually is, how are you, Zak?
I'm good. I'm good. We are releasing our first album in 19 years, so I'm happy. It's been a long time.
Hi, I'm Tony Gonzalez and this is Made in Metal. If you are passionate about rock and metal, this channel is your home. Here we celebrate the musicians, songwriters, and producers who have made history. We have already interviewed some incredible artists, and with your subscription, we can go even farther. Your support gives us visibility, open doors, and allow us to keep creating powerful, authentic content. Subscribe, share, and be part of this metal loving community. Thanks for being here, and let the good rock keep rolling.
After some time off the radar, what motivated Clawfinger to return to the studio and record Before We All Die?
We did our last tour in late 2007. And we knew that after that, we had no more money. We were lucky. We got to make a living off music for many years. But we knew that what we had ahead of us was finding work. And there's nothing strange about that. Everyone needs to find a job in their life. But what happened was all of a sudden we did not have the time anymore. You know, working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. All of a sudden you don't have the time to be in the studio and be with your bandmates, writing and recording music. You know, and I think also at that time we released 7 albums. We'd done like the whole touring thing and writing songs and recording them, touring again, you know, like the guinea pig wheel. And I think maybe we were a bit worn out or tired. So I think we gradually just lost a bit of our spark. You know, and then once reality hits in and you have kids and your like normal life starts happening, we just decided that maybe it's time to, you know, maybe we've done our thing. Maybe it's time to just quit being a band. And we did quit for 1 year, but then we got an offer from a festival, and it was a nice festival in Switzerland, and Motorhead were playing and a bunch of other bands. And we were like, fuck it, we can do 1 gig. I mean, you know, it's up to us to decide if we want to play or not. And then we did 1 gig. And then, of course, people realized that we're playing again. So we got another gig. And then the next summer, we got a few more festivals. And then all of a sudden, Deaf Dumb Blind was celebrating 25 years. And someone said, shouldn't you do a tour with playing Deaf Dumb Blind? So we did. Then the next summer, we got some more festivals. And then we had a meeting with our manager, and he was like, guys, would you think about writing a new song if I rented a hotel apartment? And we were like, okay, we could try it. And then we wrote one song, and it was Save Our Souls, was the name of the song. Maybe not our best song, but we had a really fun time writing it and recording it. And then we played some more festivals, and then we wrote another song, played some more festivals. The years passed by, and we started getting back into the groove of things, I guess. I guess you could say we started sort of falling in love with music again. And then fast forward to like late 2022, we had a Zoom meeting with our manager. And he said, guys, I know you've written like 6, 7 songs. Maybe if you wrote like 3 more, you could release a new album before we all die. And we were like, we laughed a bit because it's been so long since we released an album. And he was right, because we are going to die in the end. We're not getting any younger. So we're like, yeah, okay, fuck it. Let's try and write a few more songs. And if we feel like we have enough songs, then maybe we can release an album, and fuck, we should call it Before We All Die. And from there, we just, we got back into the groove of things. And I don't know, it just felt like a good time, or the right time to release an album again. But, we really weren't planning an album from the beginning. It's been a very spontaneous, the way we've gone about it has been very spontaneous. And it wasn't up until the very end that we realized that, fuck, we have an album. So, it's, I don't know, life happened, and kids and work and relationships that start and end, and families and shit times and good times. And that's why it's taken so long.
And now we know the real meaning of Before We All Die, the title. It's not a
Yes.
pessimistic option. Tell me.
But it's also about the fact that we are fucking up the one planet we have. The one planet we know we can live on. We are treating it like a pile of shit. And that's the reason for the album cover with the bomb or the earth and the bomb fuse, because we are literally destroying the one thing we have, So it has a double meaning. It's humorous and it's silly, but it's also very serious, because as a human race, we are behaving very, very, very strangely, and we really are fucking shit up.
Your lyrics often address social and political issues with a direct tone. How do you decide which topic are or were important to address in Before We All Die?
There is no master plan. A song either happens or it doesn't happen. So that there has to be a basic idea that makes us smile, or that triggers us, or that makes us think, that makes us want to continue with that song. And sometimes it's a lyric I have, sometimes it's a drum beat, sometimes it's a guitar riff. It really doesn't matter. But the foundation, or the basic inspiration for a song has to come out of feeling good and happy about it. When it comes to lyrics, it's really just about trying to find what fits with the music somehow. And, some of my lyrics are more political. Some of them are really about myself. Some of them are about how we as people are towards each other in general. So, as far as I'm concerned, the lyrics are very varied. It's not all just political. I mean, I do know that we are considered a political band, but I'm not sure I always agree with that. Sometimes we are, yes. Sometimes it's about other stuff. We're a rock band. We're a heavy band. So, of course, most of the lyrics are going to be about stuff that makes you angry or stuff that makes you frustrated. It sort of comes with the musical territory.
Yes, but for example, there is a song from Zeros and Heroes called Step Aside, And now in this recording, you have another song that is called Scum. And the other song reminds me this song because both point at the American government, but do you think that is in a different situation or the same situation?
I don't think it's really that different. Some assholes are more assholes than other assholes, as in presidents, for example. At the end of the day, anyone with that kind of power is going to be morally corrupt, arrogant, and harmful, and mostly be doing it to gain power for themselves and for the sake of their own success. No, I don't think they're that different. They're about slightly different topics in general, but it's the same approach, really. They're not that different. The only difference is Scum is directed at specifically one person, but that one person is a symbol of something that is very wrong in our society, and a kind of person that is narcissistic and megalomaniac. And the guy with orange skin and blonde hair is just one of the many people who are like that. Unfortunately, there are many of them out there.
Do you feel any responsibility when using your platform to talk about controversial topics?
Not really, no. In that case, I think it's more important to stay true to what you believe and think yourself. I feel like there's a woke culture now that is unhealthy, because it's almost like it's become that people are scared to say what they're thinking because they are scared of what could happen to them or what other people will think of them if they say that. And I think that's dangerous. I think that you should be allowed to say whatever the fuck you want, but you should also be prepared to reply and back up what you say. As long as you can do that, I feel you should be pretty much free to say whatever the hell you want.
I don't know if you know that there is a song called Big Brother from the late 60s or early 70s from a Motown band called Rare Earth. You know?
No, I had no idea. There are probably quite a lot of songs called Big Brother.
But this song was very famous because it was when Motown, maybe it was the only band with mostly white musician in Motown. And now you have your own Big Brother. And I would like to ask you, is your Big Brother against social media or there is more?
Well, I mean, the Big Brother song is pretty much about this whole phenomena where we, not we, certain people, it feels like it's become more important to be seen and heard and recognized than it ever has been before. The thing I find scary now is that people don't care what they're famous for or why they're famous or what they have to do to become famous. There's no context anymore. It's just it's become like a case of look at me, and if enough people see me and I'm on television, then it means I am somebody. But if you haven't done anything more than just walk around on a beach, showing your muscles, drinking a beer, trying to have sex with the opposite sex, I'm sorry, but you haven't achieved anything. You haven't done anything that means anything to anyone. So why the fuck should we even care? Why are people obsessed with this? Why do people watch that crap? What do we get out of it? I find it baffles my mind. I do not understand it. And that is mainly what the lyric is about. But it's also slightly about the whole Big Brother surveillance and cameras everywhere. Even right now, someone is probably hearing what I'm saying on my iPad. The information is probably going out somewhere. We are constantly being watched. We are constantly being heard. Every move we make on our smartphones, everything we do is being monitored, and somehow that information is being stored somewhere. And it's really fucking scary. But we've become numb, we don't even, we're so used to being under surveillance that we don't even question it. There's no privacy anymore. Everyone knows everything and sees everything. And that goes for social media, and it's really scary. But at the same time, we're all stuck in it, it's not healthy.
We remember that Clawfinger emerged at a time when the Swedish scene was known for melodic death metal. How would you describe the initial reaction to your rap metal sound in Sweden and international?
I think we came at exactly the right time. We had no idea. We didn't have a master plan. We didn't know there was going to be a trend. But in the early 90s, it was a really healthy time for music. There was room for everything. Regardless of whether it was rap metal or grunge or alternative, it was a really healthy scene, And I think we got really lucky because we came at the exact right time without knowing it. So in a lot of ways, it was really easy for us just because we had the perfect timing without knowing it. And almost immediately we got a lot of press, and we got on big tours with Alice in Chains and Anthrax, and played all the big festivals out in Europe at the time. I mean, fuck, man, we were lucky, I wish I could say we were smart, but we weren't. We worked hard, but we were also lucky, Yes, Sweden was known for the death metal stuff, but even with all that happening, there was room for what we were doing as well. And I think we came with something that was a bit different, and I think that opened people's eyes.
But when you started writing the music from deaf, dumb, blind, what were your inspiration, for example?
Well, our guitar player, Board, he came from traditional 70s metal, old school rock, Aerosmith and Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and all that kind of stuff. Our keyboard player / programmer, he came from thrash metal and body music. I came from old punk and old rap, and also protest music that my mother listened to. And our second guitar player, he came from more like alternative stuff like Smashing Pumpkins and Pixies, and so I think that was the main reason it ended up being the mix it was. We'd never heard Rage Against the Machine, so that they were not an inspiration at all. There were some rap songs that had like heavy guitars in them. I really liked those songs, so I played those songs to the guys. They played me some metal stuff, and we just sort of, combined everything we liked and loved, and it turned into Clawfinger. It sounded terrible in the beginning, but eventually, we found a style that we liked, and we've pretty much stuck with that sound all the way because we found our niche or our path. I guess we're the AC/DC of rap metal.
Yes. So we must remember that before Clawfinger, you work in a health institution.
Yes.
Yes. How did this environment influence your creativity and dynamic?
Well, I think first of all, it's helped us keep our feet on the ground a lot. Not all of the time, but most of the time. Because, you know, when you're working with old people, you're feeding them, you're helping them go to the toilet, you're brushing their teeth, you're helping them change their diapers. You know, it puts a bit of perspective on life. So I definitely think that helped us remain reasonably sane and not get caught up in this rock star bullshit. But also we're Scandinavian, you know, we come from a part of the world where it's not cool to be a rock star or think that you're better than anyone else. And I think that has helped us as well. You know, but I also think that kind of environment where we worked, it was all nationalities, it was all walks of life, it was all different cultures who worked in the hospital. You know, a hospital is a melting pot of people from everywhere because it's the kind of job that you do while you're looking for what you really want to do a lot of the time. So, you know, there were a lot of interesting characters there. And I think that helped us be more open-minded about the fact that, you know, we're all different. We all come from different backgrounds, different possibilities, different walks of life in every possible way. I really believe it helped us in a lot of ways.
For example, let me tell you that in Cuba, Nigger wasn't misunderstood.
Okay.
But in other countries, Nigger was misunderstood and you were accused of racism.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you, but let me ask you, do you think that it was because you are white people?
In America, definitely. We never played a gig in America ever. I remember we got a fax from a record company. Someone from our label in Sweden was in the States shopping for a record deal, and they played them some of our songs. Nigger was one of them. And we got a fax back that said, white guys who try to tell black people how to live their lives ought to have their balls cut off. So in America, definitely. To be honest, I don't feel like it was that misunderstood. I feel like the majority of people back then were smart enough to read the lyrics and understand the bigger picture. I think it's more of a problem now than it was then because everything is taken out of context now. Nobody has the patience to listen to a whole song. A lot of people have a 10-second attention span. So if you hear a chorus like that, you are going to misunderstand it because that's all you're going to hear. But once again, back then, most of the time, it led to very interesting discussions with a lot of people. And most of the time, the majority of the people who were frustrated about it or found it wrong or provocative were white people or pink people or whatever you want to call it. Whereas a lot of African Americans or black people or whatever you choose to call it actually really appreciated it, you know. But then, of course, there were assholes as well. I remember back in the beginning, we had a lot of skinheads in Sweden, and they thought it was a song for them. And when they realized it wasn't a song for them, they got pissed off because they thought it was like an anthem for them. But no, it wasn't. I would say that's without that song, we would not have gotten to experience everything we've experienced. And that song has mostly been positive for us, you know. Could we have written it in an easier way or a way that was more easy to understand? Probably, yeah. But I was 21 when I wrote that lyric. I wasn't thinking ahead of what might happen in 20 years or how people might understand it. I was speaking from the heart because it was something that I thought was worrying and something that I thought was strange and wrong. And for that reason, it's never really been a problem. And also, last but not least, if you look at the body of our work, everything about us is anti-fascist and anti-racist. So if you look at the big Clawfinger picture, you have to be pretty fucking stupid to misinterpret us as a racist band, you know?
But sad, the stupidity grows everywhere. So
Yeah,
this is,
it does. It does. You know, I mean, we are not doing ourselves any favors as a human race. We are pathetically stupid at times, you know. And I'm not saying I'm any better. We're all struggling to make sense of who the fuck we are and what it is we're supposed to be doing here. And I think we have a long way to go before we start doing the right thing, you know. We need to be more open-minded. We need to have more patience with people. We need to stop judging so quickly. We need to understand that everyone is different, but everyone has the same basic needs. We want food on our table, a roof over our heads. We want our families to be happy. It doesn't matter where you're from or what skin color you have. We all want those same things, you know. How fucking hard can it be?
I remember something that you tell me maybe 1 or 2 minutes ago. You say white people or pink people. Let me confess you that I am a teacher, and in the 80s I was working in a school, and the students call me pink.
Yeah.
Because I was the only pink person in the
Right.
school.
Yeah.
In Cuba, there are more mix.
Yeah, I know, yeah. It's, you
Altogether.
know, it's not important for anything. We have this stupid idea of I don't know what it is, some kind of fear. As soon as someone doesn't look exactly like we do, we assume that there must be something wrong with them, or they're crooks, or but that's based on how we look. Everyone, not everyone, but you know, we all look different in different parts of the world. So what makes the pinkness I have the one that is considered better or more intelligent or more, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, you know. It makes zero sense. It's just you become accustomed to what it is you are and what you have and the place you happen to live. But it's all coincidence. I didn't choose to be born in this part of the world with this skin. It's just something I happen to be, you know. It's ridiculous.
I have seen that you are wearing a baseball cap saying scum, a
Yeah.
t-shirt say enemy. And my question is, if you have to get a tattoo of a line from a Clawfinger song, which one will it be?
Wow. That's a hard question to answer. One line from one Clawfinger song. And you expect me to pick something off the top of my head that's really good and really funny or really deep. I don't know. I guess the easiest thing would be to use an album title. I don't know. Life Will Kill You. Deaf,
Yes.
Dumb, Blind. Before We All Die. I don't fucking know, man. Love. To end on a positive note, maybe love.
Yes, but no problem, no problem. Don't force your brain anymore.
Ah,
No, I have another question. If you
okay.
could choose one Clawfinger song to define the spirit of the band, what it'll be and why?
I would probably choose Two Sides. And I know it's not a typical Clawfinger song. It's a bit more groovy, but no, I I like the message because, you know, as much as we're quite outspoken and quite angry and quite frustrated, at the end of the day, it's important to remember that there are always other sides to the story, you know, and of course, you're always going to think that you're the one that's right, but that depends entirely on your approach to life and your political opinions or your religious beliefs, etc., etc. So, you know, it's as much as we like to be angry, it's good to remember that other people experience other things. There are two sides. There's more than two sides, but it's good to remember that there are several sides to things and several opinions. And that leads us back to this whole thing of you know, being open-minded and being respectful and treating everybody as your equal until they prove you wrong, you know. And even then, even if you're proven wrong sometimes, it can still be good to remain open-minded and try and understand why they think what they think. And it's so easy to say all of this, but it's so much harder to do in real life. Because you can go home from work and you're tired, and all you want to do is pull a blanket over yourself and lie in front of the television and watch Big Brother. You know, so sometimes we don't have the energy to be the good people I know we can be, because sometimes life just grinds you down and you're tired. But I think we need to work harder. You know, I think we need to be more aware. I think we need to take more care. And it's all cliches, but it's all true, you know.
Thank you very much for this conversation. When I was in Cuba 25 years ago, jumping with a nigger, I will never imagine that one day I will have the opportunity to talk to you, because I always knew that you will never be playing in Cuba. But now we are living in Madrid and you are living there in Sweden. And one day we will see the band, because now that you come back to life, maybe one day you will be here in Spain.
We will see what happens. I would love to play Cuba as well, but I don't think that's going to happen either. You know, but anything can happen. You know, that's one thing I've learned, is that anything can happen. You never know. So we shall see.
Thank you very much, Zak.
Thank
I
you.
hope you enjoy this conversation.
Absolutely. It's all good.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Peace.
You too.